Hello, welcome 2021 DLFF Film Festival online for obvious reasons. And I'm so delighted to be joined by these 7 talented screenwriters. This is for the 4th screenwriting roundtable. And we're going to learn a little bit about themselves, their projects, and maybe how to be a screenwriter. Okay, and this is in alphabetical order by project. We're going to start with Berkeley Girl, the pilot by Emmett. And Emmett is a longtime participant of DLFF Film Festival. That's the other festival, but for DLFF, he's been around a lot, and I really appreciate his support and his talent. So Emmett, tell us about your pilot, Berkeley Girl.
Well, I grew up in Berkeley, and it's a very interesting place. It's a wonderful place to grow up. And I really wanted to bring, some of my own experiences. And also the city's changed quite a bit. So I don't claim to be up on exactly what the latest is. But anyway, this is about 2 women growing up in or coming of age in the city of Berkeley. One is a grad student, and the other is an 11-year-old. And the grad student works at the coffee house run by a gentleman who is an aging former punk rock, ska, basically whatever band would have him as a member. He was a member of just about every prominent band over the past 25 years. And now he has to make a buck because he's got a kid to raise. So he's running this coffee house, and his daughter's there a lot. So she and our main heroine interact a lot. And so it's just about how these 2 women are both coming of age in this wacky, strange, but wonderful city.
Well, definitely an homage to Berkeley, which for outsiders, there's always these kind of stereotypes of Berkeley. And I think it's great to get someone who grew up there and kind of reminisce a little bit about that. Thank you. And now we're going to, Rob, can you tell us about Day of the Lion?
Yeah, well, basically the log line is just weeks after the end of the coronavirus shutdown, mutated sea lions try to take back the Earth. Initially dismissed as rogue mountain lion attacks by authorities, it's up to a private eye, his scientist wife, and a one-legged Vietnam vet to stop them. So one night I was sitting in my home office here in the marina overlooking the water, and I saw these sea lions, as always, lying on the docks barking. These things are 800 pounds. I was like, what if these things decided to take over the neighborhood? Could we stop them? Then early during the COVID shutdowns last year, I started seeing headlines claiming that animals have become emboldened to roam the streets looking for food. And then I remembered a news story about a year prior about a mysterious tide of medical waste on the shore here in Venice Beach. And then at that point, I just started typing.
You kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, it just wrote itself.
Well, with the inspiration of the sea lions, I love sea lions, but I don't know what it's like to live near them. I'm sure they're very, very loud.
Yeah, they bark, they bark late at night, that's about it.
Well,
but like I said, given the right genetic engineering,
it's just maybe one gene away from taking over the world.
Exactly.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, we're going to ask Ross to talk about his project Disrupture.
Hey guys, Rob, your story freaks me out. I got a backstage tour of an aquarium up here, and they led me through a door without telling me there were going to be 2 giant sea lions in front of me. And it's the most frightened I've been in years because they're giant creatures. They are terrifying.
Yes.
They're big.
Wow. Anyway, Ray, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for selecting my screenplay. It's a short horror thriller screenplay. It's called Disrupture. It's about a gay couple who wake up in the middle of the night to find that there is a knife-wielding maniac hiding in their closet who is intent on killing them. And so it is told in real time as they fight for their lives.
Well, definitely not a situation you want to find yourself in, but it's good to have pure horror, because with comedy horror, it veers towards comedy more often than not. So, we really appreciate your contribution. And Ross, you're in Connecticut, right?
I am in Connecticut. Yep.
And are you any plans of making this, producing it, filming it?
Yeah, we were going to make it last year, but so as soon as things open back up and I can get a crew together, I'm really excited to make this movie.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Good luck with that. And
Thanks.
Doug, tell us about 88.
Hey, yeah, my name is Doug Maguire. I wrote the screenplay for 88, and it's a true story somewhat. Really, the only thing I changed was a motel room, but the log line is in 2005, Doug made a bad call. And I edited out the last name Doug because there are two Dougs in the story. There's Major League Baseball umpire Doug Eddings, and then there's me, the real character Doug Maguire. So we both share the same name. I got this hat back here. So it all takes place in 2005. It's a period piece from 2005. And happened was, I was complaining about how the Angels got ripped off from, World Series title because of this douchebag named Doug who had the same name as me. And every time I turned on ESPN, it was like, Doug blew the call, Doug this, Doug that. So what happened was I was wearing a shirt that said firedoug.com. We were trying to get this umpire fired. And on the back, it said 88. This guy stops me and he says, hey, what's the 88 on your shirt mean? And I said, oh, well, if you ever see the number 88, think idiot. They kind of sound the same, idiot, 88, 88, idiot. And this guy, this skinhead, takes off his beanie and says, I have that tattooed on the back of my head. And it was like, whoosh, like huge on the back of his head. So I had no idea that 88 meant white supremacy or something like that. And that's the number that the umpire wore. So from there, I tried to call the police on him. He was dealing meth, and everything just got all crazy. One and were ambulances, SWAT, because I called in a bomb threat. So you'll have to read the script to see how it all sort of fits together with mental institutions and meth dealers and skinheads. It's pretty exciting. I like it.
Well, definitely. And we thought
So
sea lions were a big problem.
You got white supremacist umpires. I mean,
actually, I see a hybrid here. White supremacist sea lions attacking Ross.
Well, you can do like a Yojimbo situation where we just get them to fight each other.
Right. So Ross in the closet of the motel is a white supremacist sea lion wielding a knife.
This is my nightmare. This is my nightmare.
I think we got something here, guys. That's the only reason I actually have these.
Wow, talk about guy laughing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Issah. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, you got it, Issah.
Okay, because I asked and then invariably I forget because it was over 2 minutes ago.
Oh.
Okay, Operation Black Widow. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this one, it was based on a short. I shot a short last year, and I felt like I developed the characters pretty good, but when you finish the short, you feel like sometimes you could take a better swing at it. So I extended it and added a couple of different characters. And I guess the premise of it was that it was well, I'll back up a second. My wife is actually deaf. And so when I was writing the short, I was trying to come up with a protagonist. And my wife said, hey, why don't you make them deaf? And so, I hadn't really written around deaf characters before, and so that was they're central to the story. Yeah, I wish I could come up with a more acute log line. I'm a little flustered.
That's okay. Log lines are overrated anyways. Okay, and moving on. So Mark, tell us about Out of This World, please.
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to try something like a science fiction script. I'd never done one before. So anyway, it starts off the there's this woman whose life is going downhill. She breaks up with her boyfriend, spills chili on her favorite blouse, and then she goes to this dry cleaner to get it sorted out, and she gets stopped by this calls himself a garment detective, and he's weaving this yarn about these, that all the dry cleaners are now aliens from outer space, and they're coming to this earth to colonize the earth, and they actually get high from a chemical that's in the dry cleaning, which is why they've decided to inhabit the earth. So naturally she's skeptical, so she doesn't believe him, but then he gradually convinces her, and then they join forces to stop these alien dry cleaners from trying to take over the earth. So that's what I came up with, the convoluted story, but I thought it was somewhat amusing, and I throw in some pop culture references and some mentions of like old classic sci-fi in there too. So it's
one of my favorite things about these kind of dialogues is it's interesting to hear how you describe your project, because like the things that kind of stand out in your brain, and it might differ, it might evolve, but it's funny to hear the certain things that stick out and occupy your bandwidth at any given moment. Okay, and finally, Randy, tell us about Vegan Vampires from Vermont.
Sure. Hi, everybody, and thanks, Ray, for having me choose my script. You can tell by the title that my script is a horror comedy, but what you can't tell from the title is that it's also a musical. So there are approximately 15 songs in the script. We've actually recorded 4 of the song demos at this point. I've been working with a composer friend of mine in Brooklyn, and simultaneously, while I'm trying to pitch the screenplay, I've also converted the script into a play, and I'm trying to also pitch this as a musical play to different theaters around the country. So the basic premise of Vegan Vampires from Vermont is sort of vegan vampire boy meets vegan girl who wants to be a vampire. And when the meat and dairy industry start to worry that some kind of vegan plague is going to overrun the world, they hire this old school vampire to take the vegan vampires out. So that's kind of the basic storyline. Then thrown into the storyline for good measure, since it's set in Vermont, is a Bernie Sanders-like character who is representing the whole theory of the haves versus the have-nots, and he knows of some rare vampire movie that was shot in Russia a long time ago that contains some kind of hidden message, and he sends the vegan vampires over there to try to retrieve the film. So that's what happens.
Excellent. It kind of dawned on me listening to everyone, and so the question I'm going to pose to all of you, and some of it is prompted by Emmett, is how do you go from page to screen? Emmett has done a lot of films, features, and shorts. So what is the magic, or what is the path to get these projects produced? Emmett, why don't you share some of your insight?
Well, frankly, one of the first things that I did because I was kind of starting my writing, directing career in the 90s, and it was very not easy to make a film in the 90s. But I knew a bunch of actors, and this background looks terrible. But anyway, doesn't matter. I knew a bunch of actors, and I would do readings. I would do staged readings. I would get a copy of the script to everybody, and we would just gather in a room, and preferably in front of an audience, and we would read the script like a play reading. And that did so much. It did so much for me as a writer, because it first of all, it showed me immediately where there were problems, because there's nothing like an audience, checking their watch and kind of, being bored to tell you like it's not working. So that still is kind of my go-to way of getting a script in shape to have it read. And then it's and then it's really a question of for me it's been, well, what resources do I have? Where could I film this? Who do I know that's going to let me shoot in their living room or in their bakery or something like that? And then and it's about tailoring the material to what I have available. And it was funny because years ago I was involved in one of those 24-hour filmmaking or 24-hour film festival kind of thing. And I was going to direct, and somebody else was writing the script. And he turned in a script that had police cars and car chases, and it's like, hey, what do you think we're able to do here? So I had to step in and say, we can't, come on, get real. We have people in rooms talking. That's what we can do, And so a lot of my earliest films are people in rooms talking, which, because that's what I had available.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that's very true with indie filmmaking. Look, the location is such a big hurdle. And Rob, have you had anything go from page to screen or?
Well, I'm a private investigator by trade, but I did back in the early 90s, I came to LA to get into filmmaking. So I wrote a couple scripts and I did produce a few shorts and stuff like that. But no, I mean, not in the last 25 years or 20 or so years, no.
Well,
most of that was all kind of just amateur.
Yeah. Well, I don't think nowadays there's any, amateur. What does amateur mean nowadays?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's really
totally.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see. Hey, Ross, you said you're kind of hoping after the pandemic to get going on this. Have you had anything you've written, produced?
Yeah, I've been making films for, well, God, since I was young. But yeah, COVID's actually the first time that I haven't been able to just get right into it. So usually I write the screenplay, and then the question is, do I fundraise next, or do I start doing visual pre-pro next? And sometimes if I go visual pre-pro, that helps me with fundraising, and then other times with fundraising, I can tell just what exactly are my limitations with my visual pre-pro. But one of those two steps comes next, and then the goal is to to shot list, to storyboard, to do the schematics and the overhead drawings, and to score the script and do coverage and all of that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, best of luck. That's my dog. My dog gets extremely needy when I'm on Zoom. Okay. Well, best of luck. I'll keep my eyes peeled for it for 2022. Doug, where are you at with 88? What's going on?
Well, I wrote and shot something before. So going from script to page on that was just a matter of luck and timing. We were able to do a feature and it got into some film festivals, but this was back in like 2012, 2013. As far as this one goes, I have a Super 8. I want to stick with the 8 theme and keep it going with shoot it on Super 8. It's going to be a little bit harder because before, we were just doing digital video. This I'm going to have to use like iPhones as sound or something like that. And just do it as bare bones as possible. I mean, I know people like to storyboard. People really like to plan out and map it out what they're going to do. But, as long as I get an actor for a couple of days, I think I can knock out their scenes in 1 or 2 days. So if all goes right, you might be seeing 88 in about 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years.
I'll be
if
here.
I'm lucky.
I'll be
Yeah,
here.
if I'm lucky and if the timing is right. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or everything. Everyone's referring to like 2005 and 19, like as if it was like colonial times. It's like not that long ago. Okay. Operation Black Widow. Are we going to be able to see that in a theater near you?
You know, hopefully it's a pretty lofty project, right? You've read the script, I imagine, and you know, there's all sorts of things from like a kangaroo involved, and you know, car chases like you were referring to. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm actually in the middle of making a film right now. It's like a 30-minute short, and after that, there's another short that I want to do. For something like Black Widow, it's going to take you know, funding. So I applied for, like, here in Canada, there's the Canada Council. The telefilm grant, which is another one, it's like 150K comes up. But for that one, you need a producer. So I'm just kind of dealing with a particular individual who seems like they have enough producer credits to be able to do the thing. So it's a real lofty project, but I mean, my background's in music, and you know, I just find your heart, it takes you, and then you go, and then you're doing it, you know?
Well, that is a similar question I've usually asked. Is there's also a tension between, you know, do you write with something big, you know, different in mind, or do you just let your creative process go? You know, I think everyone is a little bit different. I mean, I think it's hard to write and think in terms of practicality. You know, I think there's always going to be someone that's going to tell you, no, you can't afford that, or you can't do that. You know?
And I think it's one of those things that, like, I find for the shorts that, like, I did, again, like this Black Widow is based on a short. And that short is like, okay, a lot of dialogue and using that to be kind of the thing that builds momentum. But at the same time, I was like, okay, well, let me try and do it the different way. So like the scenes and the events in those spaces and in time, that's kind of like the momentum builder. And then the dialogue isn't the thing on top. And if I was to make a feature, I think that would be the goal, to have it like moving forward in the dialogues, like on top, you know what I mean? Rather than the alternate, which can work great, like you're saying, when it's a dialogue driven thing.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's any one magic solution. And it's going to take a lot of luck. Someone had mentioned luck, and it's so true. It's really about luck a lot of times. Hey, Mark, what are you doing with Out of This World? Have you have you had other projects go to production?
Yeah, I have. I've been making a short film since about 2002. So I've been doing this a while. Actually, these are just, you know, submitting scripts. This is my first time really doing that. To see if the script itself would stand up on its own, just to, you know, try it out there. But Out of This World, I definitely plan to film it. The last thing I did, actually, the last couple of things are, you know, being submitted now. Something called Thumb Wrestler, which we were talking about before, like the limitations as to what you can really do with a small budget, you know, because I can't do wrestling and have a crowd of extras there. So thumb wrestling, you just shoot the, you know, tight in the thumbs, and that's, you know, that's a sport, so-called sport. But we did that, and I have this thing called Jazz John, where these people are hired to perform jazz in a men's bathroom. So we just did that. So that's circulating, and this one, hopefully, we're going to do the challenge for this one. Obviously, is it's science fiction, so people expect a certain standard of special effects that I've never really done anything with special effects, you know. So they have this high bar, you know, George Lucas and other people, you know, special effects. So it has the danger of looking hokey if you don't have like a graphics team working on these things. But hopefully, you know, that kind of thing has its own appeal if you do something, you know, limited budget, you know,
Well, you can go for George Lucas 1975 Star Wars as opposed to, you know. So Mark, thanks for reminding me, because I know your thumb wrestling short film. I've actually seen 2 thumb wrestling shorts. What was your thumb wrestling short? I know I've seen it.
What's it, like a spoof on Rocky? You know, so the guy, you know, is like he has an old trainer.
What was the name of it?
Thumb Wrestler.
Okay.
But there was one out there called The Thumb Wrestler, so I didn't want to be confused. Thumb Wrestler.
Through the years, I've seen 2 on the circuit, and I know I've seen one of them that you were involved with. So thanks for reminding me on that. And finally, Randy, vegan vampires from Vermont. I actually think that Hamilton was a vegan vampire, so I think you might be onto something there.
Well, I think at this point you might see vegan vampires on a live stage before you see it on in a movie theater. I come more from a playwriting background. That's where most of my contacts are in the industry. And I have a theatrical producer in LA right now who is pushing, trying to get some kind of even small scale production of it done out there sometime in the next year or so. So,
Oh wow, keep me posted.
yeah,
So,
fingers crossed.
You know what's another great market for something like that is Chicago is a great market for that. It's a great theater town, and they love, you know, a lot of the former. I don't know if they're gonna, you know, come back after the pandemic, but they love stuff like that. You know, in Chicago. That's where I'm from, Chicago.
Okay, cool. Well, my friend says that London loves campy musical productions too, so maybe something there.
You're gonna have the vegan vampires take over the world.
Right.
Okay, well, that was our Q&A with these 7 talented screenwriters. Thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts on your projects. It's always an honor to talk to our screenwriters, and really appreciate your contributions this year. Thank you.